Welcome back, students. So we will be moving now to our Unit 3. And for the Unit 3, we will be discussing the developmental stages. So developmental stages is still under personal development. So again, I am your teacher, Cherish Ipol Suba. So this is what I'm talking about for our Unit 3, the developmental stages. We are going to tackle what are the changes happening inside you, what are the tasks that you should be doing by a specific age. So the developmental stages from child up until you grow old, we will be tackling today. So before we start, I have a quotation here from the famous Lev Vygotsky. It says, "What a child can do today with assistance, she will be able to do by herself tomorrow." So, in other terms, this is what we call scaffolding. So when we say scaffolding in education, it means that the teacher or the role of the teachers and others in supporting the learner's development and providing support structures to get to the next stage or level. So when we say scaffolding, so we are preparing you, we are helping you so that you will be able to move to the next stage. So it is also part of the developmental stage. So in developmental stage, you have to move stage by stage. You have the specific task to do in specific age and in specific time frame. So what Lev Vygotsky said here is applicable on our lesson for today. So the objectives are, number 1, you have to classify various developmental tasks according to developmental stage. Next, evaluate your development in comparison with persons of the same age group. And lastly, list ways to become a responsible adolescent prepared for adult life. And the big question here is that how can you as an adolescent be prepared for adult life? By accomplishing various developmental tasks according to developmental stages. Now let's move to the developmental stages. Human development focuses on human growth and changes across the lifespan, including physical, cognitive, social, intellectual, perceptual, personality, and emotional growth. So, the study of human development is essential to understanding how humans learn, mature, and adapt. So, throughout their lives, we humans go through various stages of development. So, the human being is either in a state of growth or decline, but either condition imparts change. So, the only permanent here is change. Some aspects of our life change very little over time and some are very consistent. Other aspects change dramatically. Yes, when we say dramatically, some are their body changes very, what do you call this one? There's a leap of change, yung from being skinny to being fat, from being fat to being skinny. So they are changing dramatically. By understanding these changes, we can better respond and plan ahead effectively. But what are the 8 stages of development? First, we have on the list is the prenatal development. So when we say prenatal, it is from conception to birth. So simula nung nabuo kayo hanggang sa pagkapanganak. So it is the age when hereditary endowments and sex are fixed and all body features, both external and internal, are developed. So for this stage, the health of the mother is the most important. So because it is where your nutrition, it is where your development comes from. Next one is the infancy. When we say infancy, from birth to 2 years. So pagkapanganak hanggang sa mag 2 years old. In here, we have the foundation age when basic behavior are organized and many ontogenetic maturation skills are developed. When we say ontogenetic, it is the origin and development of an organism, usually from the time of fertilization of the egg to adult. So for the infancy, on this stage, we make sure that the baby is surrounded by safe and interesting things. You can provide pictures which are colorful, provide the lullaby music, you can provide the sound of your voice, and also provide only soft toys. So, I'm telling you this para at least kung meron kayong kasama sa bahay, you will be informed what are the things that will make the baby healthy and will make the baby safe. So, remember that crying is the baby's way of getting your attention. So, in this way, you have to check the baby if he or she is wet or maybe he or she is hungry. You have to put your attention to the baby once it cries. So, or maybe he or she is sleepy. So you have to know where that cry comes from. Next one is the early childhood from 2 to 6 years. So yung stage na to, yun yung sa school natin, yung CASA, Junior CASA, and Advanced CASA. So, ito yung medyo critical stage. This is where the pre-gang stage, exploratory and questioning, language and elementary reasoning are required, and initial socialization is experienced. So, this is where you have to play with the child. This will help the child to develop or build his or her communication skills, social skills, and motor skills. On this stage, you also need to begin setting limits. So when we say set limits, you have to let the child knows that whatever he does, he or she needs to put it back together. For example, nagkalat si baby, nagkalat si kapatid. So you have to let him or her know that he needs to put it back on the proper places. And you can also make rules, yung mga rules, baby rules or kiddie rules like be good to others, sharing is caring, and do not hurt other playmates or other people. These are only examples, but you can use them to help the child develop following instructions. Kasi kaya sinabing critical stage, kasi dito nagsisimula yung formation nila. Formation on how they will develop their social skills, their interpersonal skills. So, kung paano sila makikipag-communicate sa iba, kung paano sila makikiusap sa iba. So, this is where you have to develop their social skills as well. That's why you need to play with them. You need to talk with them softly. Para at least, kasi kapag kinakausap mo yung bata in a harsh way, para bang sinasabi mo sa kanya na galit ako. No, you have to let the child know that you are telling this one because you want him or her to be good. You want him or her to develop. So yun yung sa early childhood natin. Remember that on this stage, you have to let the child play. You have to let the child follow instructions. You have to set the limits. Now, we will be moving to the late childhood, which are 6 to 12 years old. So for this, gang and creativity age where self-help skills, social skills, school skills, and play are developed. So when we say late childhood, so this is where once the children begins to school, their life changes considerably. They are able to describe their experiences, their thoughts, their feelings. They want to be liked and accepted. They want to be friends with their classmates. They want to join the team. So in short, they want to belong. So for this stage, the helpful hints are number one, You have to remind them to be friendly to others. Next, you have to support them to get involved. Let them join to sports, church activities, and community activities. While they are young, you have to practice them. You have to let them know that those things are important. Third one, you have to support the children to have a sense of responsibility. This could include household activities such as setting the table, cleaning the rooms, and sweeping the floors. So late childhood, they are already 6 to 12 years old. So basically, they are elementary children. So while they are young, you have to practice them. Kasi kung hindi natin ipapractice yung bata, hanggang sa paglaki niya, iisipin niya na, ay, okay lang na hindi ako magtrabaho sa bahay. Unless they have their maid, they have their kasambahay, right? But on our Filipino culture, we are already practicing the child. Kasi for us, it is really important na bata pa lang ay tinitraining na natin. So, there's nothing wrong with that. Kasi that's their way of coping kapag tumanda na sila. As they go along, for example, they have to go to other country, they will move to other home, nawala si mommy and si daddy, at least hindi sila mahihirapan sa everyday life nila. Then, next, adolescence. So, nandito kayo ngayon. So, grade 12 students, you are on adolescence stage. So, this is from puberty to 18 years old. So, most of you, I think you are around 17 to 18 years old. So, this is the transition age from childhood to adulthood when sex maturation and rapid physical development occur, resulting to changes in ways of feelings, thinking, and acting. So during this stage, young people experience physical changes, develop a unique identity, become more independent, and they are focused on peer relationships. What we must do on this age, we need to provide them the freedom and support in exploring their world. So, I know on your age na mahilig kayo mag-explore. So, you feel that you want freedom, you want independence, right? So, that's normal. Kasi lahat ng tao dumaan sa stage na ganyan. So, ngayon, right now, you are experiencing this. So, adolescents or you are also moving towards independence, as what I have said. They are or you are characterized by a movement away from the family, going to a more independent life. In early adolescence, some young people face the realization that their parents are not perfect. So, when you say your parents are not perfect, sometimes you answer them rudely, then you respond to them with rudeness rudely or rudeness, and there's a challenge in parental authority. Yung para bang pinaglalaban mo yung sayo because you want the freedom, you want the independence. So, ang gusto mo, yun ang gusto mong masunod. Ganun ang nangyayari sa stage na to, sa adolescent stage. In short, yung adolescent stage, dito talaga lumalabas yung mga matitigas ang ulo. We have to admit it na sa stage natin ngayon na talagang sinusuway natin yung mga magulang natin. Hindi talaga natin sila sinusunod most of the time, or kung hindi naman most of the time, kapag lang talaga gustong-gusto natin yung bagay, dun natin pinupurso. And then, on this age, puberty also occurs. So when we say puberty, this is where this marks the sexual maturity and the ability to have children. That's why it is so important that you have the knowledge on how to handle sex relationships. So it's not bad to talk about sex. When we say sex, this is your organs, right? So you have to know your organs. You have to know what are their functions. So sa stage na to, You have the capability to have the children. You have the capability to have or build your family. So, if you are still studying, you have to be careful or at least iwasan ang dapat iwasan, di ba? Uh, Alam natin na mapupusok kayo yung mga kabataan. But I am telling you that education is much more important kasi this is where your life begins. Dito nyo mabibuild yung family nyo. Dito kayo mabubuhay. As you go along, you will be able to understand why your parents always say that you have to study hard, you have to finish your studies, 'di ba? Normal naman 'yun sa mga parents natin. Kasi alam nila na yung stage nyo ngayon is yun talaga yung stage kung saan mapupusok ang damdamin. So, you have to be careful, okay? And now we will be moving to early adulthood, which are 18 to 40 years of age. So this is the age of adjustment to new patterns of life and roles such as spouse, parent, and breadwinner. So it is the stage where adults move from their family to find a job, to marry, or build their family. So ito yung sinasabi ko na you have to study, you have to finish your studies, kasi dito papunta yung career ninyo. Dito papunta yung pag-build nyo ng family. 'Di ba? Kasi, and also on this stage, we have to ensure that we are pursuing our personal interest. Kasi dito sa stage na to, dito na yung stage na naghahanap tayo ng work, nagbibuild na tayo ng career natin, yung mga pangarap natin. So on this stage, you have to stay focused. You have to know where you want to go. You have to learn that the things that you are going to do on the future ay yung dapat na personal interest natin. So, yung dapat yung gusto natin. Kasi, kung hindi natin gusto ang ginagawa natin, we won't be able to grow. For the middle age, this is the age of 40 years to retirement. This is the transition age when adjustments to initial physical and mental experience are declined. So when we say physical and mental declination, ito yung feeling natin or iniisip natin na kaya pa ba natin itong gawin? Are we still capable of doing this? Are we still capable of having this? So on this stage, it is really important to exercise, to be physically and mentally fit. It is also important to socialize with friends. Dito yung stage na kung napapansin ninyo sa mga parents natin, dito yung stage ng madalas yung reunion, madalas yung pagkikita ng mga dati nilang kaklase, which is really important on their mental health. Kasi sa stage na to, biglang bumabalik yung sense of socialization nila. Kasi nag-i-start yung sense of socialization natin sa late childhood hanggang adolescence at bigla yung mawawala sa early adulthood. And then it will go back to middle age. That's why it is really important. So hahayaan lang natin yung mga parents natin na lumabas paminsan-minsan, makipagkwentuhan sa kapitbahay. That is important for them. And that is important for their mental health. So, it's normal na umaga pa lang nasa labas na si mommy or si daddy or yung umaga pa lang makita mo nagpunta na siya sa kapitbahay. So, it's okay, no? Hayaan lang natin sila because that is their way of coping up para mawala yung mental declination. And lastly, for the old age, this is the retirement to death. So retirement age when increasingly rapid physical and mental decline are experienced. So dito yung stage na maiisip natin na malapit na ako sa dulo, 'di ba? That is normal. It is typical in our society for older adults to retire. So often, this is seen as time to rest and reflect on the accomplishments of life. So, yun namang mga individuals with disabling conditions often do not retire, or retirement is merely a modified extension of the service they are initially placed. Yun yung sinasabi nila na may mentally disabled, like children with autism, yung mga ganyan, person with disabilities. So, some are not going to retire. But most of people are going to retirement. Currently, service providers are striving to create interesting and individualized retirement options. So, yung mga service providers natin, yun yung, for example, no, sila yung mga nagbibigay ng mga program para sa mga nag-retire na, or yung kung meron ka mang company na associated. So, minsan, yung mga retirement plan, yung mga insurance plan, yun yung mga sinasabi nilang pension, di ba? Those are the programs for retirement. So, on this stage, we have to ensure that retirement is not just a time for doing less of the same thing someone has always done. So, ang ibig sabihin nun, retirement should be a time to initiate new activities, hobbies, travel, and relationships. So, it's not yet late to build a relationship. Kung nasa old age ka na, you can travel, you can create activities, you can have a new hobby. So, yung iba dito dito pa lang sila nag-start na, for example, lumabas ng bahay na mag-biking, di ba? Lalo na kung medyo physically fit pa. They can go biking, they can go running, yung mga iba naman nating female adults, nagzuzumba. So, that's their new hobby, which is totally okay and it is totally normal. As per Robert Havikhurst, these are the developmental tasks for each stages. For the early childhood, so learning to walk, learning to take solid foods, learning to talk, control of the elimination of body waste, sex differences and sexual modesty, forming concepts and learning language to describe social and physical reality, and getting ready to read. So, dun sa previous lesson natin, dun yung makikita yung mga different stages. So, dun sa early childhood, ito daw dapat yung developmental task na magagawa ng isang bata. Now, we will be moving to middle childhood, or the elementary stage. So, for this, they have to learn physical skills necessary for ordinary games. So, yung mga ordinary games na to, this includes jumping, running, mga ganun. Yung mga simple and basic movements lang. Building wholesome attitudes towards oneself as a growing organism. Learning to get along with age mates. Learning an appropriate masculine or feminine social role. So, dito, kung mapapansin niyo yung mga elementary, they only go to, kung boys, boys lang, kung girls, girls lang, because they already have the masculine and feminine roles. They already know kung sino ang dapat nilang samahin, pakisamahan. So, developing fundamental skills in reading, writing, and calculating. Yes, they are already calculating. So, yung mga basic math, yung mga addition, subtraction, multiplication, and division. Developing concepts necessary for everyday living. So, how are they going to survive every day? So, kaya nga dun sa past discussion, nabanggit ko na we have to teach the students for the simple household activities like sweeping the floor, setting the table. Developing conscience, morality, and scale of values. Kung mapapansin niyo sa mga bata, sila yung mas marami pa yung konsensya nila and yung scale of values nila. So, yung naiisip nila na mali ito, dapat nating ibalik ito, hindi ito para sa akin, hindi ito yung akin. 'Di ba? kung mapapansin nyo sila, they have that attitude. Achieving personal independence, developing attitudes toward social groups and institutions. So as per Robert, these are the developmental tasks for middle childhood. Now we will be moving to adolescence. So we will be moving to your age group. So as per Robert, what are the developmental tasks that you should be doing by now? So number one, you have to achieve new and more mature relationships with age mates of both sexes. So, dito sa age na to, adolescence, you are already building your mates. Like, you have the group of friends with girls and boys. So, you already have the mature relations with both gender. Achieving a masculine or feminine social role. So just like what you have done on the middle childhood, you have to achieve it again, the masculine and feminine role. Accepting one's physique and using the body effectively. Accepting one's physique, ito yung we have to accept our body, we have to accept our shape, we have to accept our physical appearance. Achieving emotional independence of parents and other adults, preparing for marriage and family life, preparing for an economic career. So, kung matatandaan ninyo, we already discussed na yung age ninyo is the age where you can already build your family or you can already have the children. So, this is the age where you are going to prepare for it. Acquiring a set of values and an ethical system as a guide to behavior, developing an ideology, and desiring and achieving socially responsible behavior. Now we have the early adulthood. For the early adulthood, as per Robert Havigurst, these are the tasks that you should be doing. Number one, selecting a mate, achieving a masculine or feminine social role, learning to live with a marriage partner, starting a family, rearing a children, managing a home, getting started in an occupation, taking on civic responsibility, finding a congenial social group. So, for the early adulthood, it is basically creating or building your families and making your career start. So, this is also finding a congenial social group. So, when we say congenial social group, this is where your life will revolve. Dito yung hinahanap nyo na yung mga true friend ninyo. So, dito na yung pangmatagalan na kaibigan. So, this is also where you have to rear your children, grow your children, or yun nga, yung building your family. And then, after early adulthood, now we have the middle age. For middle age, you have to achieve adult civic and social responsibility, establish and maintain an economic standard of living, assisting teenage children to become responsible and happy adults, developing adult leisure time activities, relating oneself to one's spouse as a person, accepting and adjusting to the physiologic changes or middle age. And then, lastly, adjusting to aging parents. So, for the middle age, ito siya yung we are adjusting to our aging parents. Kasi, pag nasa middle age na tayo, ito na yung time na nasa senior na si mommy and daddy. Ito na yung time na nagdi-depend na tayo sa spouse natin, sa mga husbands or wife natin. Ito na rin yung time na we are already growing, we already have a growing children, and now they are already on teenage years or adolescence years. So it depends kung maaga kayo mag-aasawa. Basically, you will have your children or your teenage children's by the middle age. And then lastly, we have the old age. So for the old age, we have here adjusting to decreasing physical strength and health, adjusting to retirement and reduced income, adjusting to death of a spouse, establishing an explicit affiliation with one's age group, meeting social and civil obligations, and establishing satisfactory physical living arrangement. So we all know when we are in the old age, this is where we have to adjust na uh, mawawala na si husband or si wife, and this is where retirement begins. This is where the income will be reduced, and our physical and mental strength are already decreasing. Dito na rin yung time na nag-create na tayo ng mga civic groups natin or social groups natin. Kung natatandaan nyo yung binanggit ko, sa middle age din and old age, dito yung madalas na yung reunion ng mga classmates, reunion ng elementary, ng high school, because they are already finding their social obligations, and they are already affiliating with their age group. And now, we already discussed about the developmental stage and all the developmental tasks. Now, we will be moving to living mindfully. How are you going to live mindfully? So, there's a question. Are you mindful or mindful? So, the other one have space. Mind, space, full. And the other one is mindful. So, saan kayo doon? Are you, yung isip nyo ba ay punong-puno? Or yung isip ninyo is nakafocus lang siya sa mga bagay na nakikita ninyo? Kasi, for example, no, you will have the, naglalakad kayo sa daan. So, habang naglalakad kayo, so ang isip nyo is punong-puno siya. So, you're thinking about your assignments, your activities, and now, dun naman sa isa, being mindful, nakafocus lang kayo dun sa daan mismo. So, saan kayo dun sa dalawa? Are you mindful or mindful? So, living mindfully is like being an artist. You need the right tools to practice your craft, and you need to constantly refine your technique to achieve your creative potential. So, yun nga, ang tanong kanina, are you mindful or mindful? So, mindfulness is paying attention on purpose, in the present, and non-judgmentally to the unfolding of experience moment by moment. Katulad nga ng sabi ko kanina, if you are mindful, you are only focused dun sa mismong daan. Kapag mindful ka naman, dumadaan ka sa napakagandang view, pero yung isip mo nandun siya sa assignment, nandun siya sa quizzes. So you have to ask yourself, am I mindful or mindful? So, now, we have to remember, no, yung before you speak, you have to think. So, ano nga ba yung think? T stands for is it true? H stands for is it helpful? I stand for is it inspiring? And then N stand for is it necessary? K it is stand for is it kind? So how mindful are you? These are the tools. Number 1, breathe mindfully. Use your breath as an anchor to still your mind and bring your focus back to the present moment. So how are you going to do mindful breathing? So when we say breathe mindfully, you are giving yourself a time to think, a time to breathe. So paano nga ba yung mindful breathing? Number 1, you have to choose a downtime. Kapag sinabi nating downtime, ito yung time na nakafocus lang tayo sa sarili natin. So, choose a location. It can be in the shower, or before making a meal, after making a meal, before going to bed. Pili kayo ng oras and pili kayo ng location ninyo kung saan kayo comfortable. And then, shift your focus to your breathing and pick a single aspect to focus on. For example, no, shift your focus to breathing. Nakaupo ka. So, inhale, exhale. And then, you are only going to focus on a single aspect. So, ano ba yung gusto mong i-focus? So, for example, you are going to think about the view that you want to see, like a view of flowers, a view of trees, green trees, lahat, kung ano man yan. A view of a sea. So, you pick a single aspect to focus on. And then, you have to inhale and exhale. And then, spend at least 5 minutes in this state of awareness. So, why it is helpful? Number one, the benefits of mindful breathing is, number one, it reduces stress. Number two, it increases the relaxation. And number three, reduced blood pressure. O, diba? Pwede nyo rin siyang ituro sa mga parents ninyo. So, why does breathing mindfully effective on reducing stress? Because it focuses only on single sensation and it can help to still a racing mind. So, pinagpapahinga mo yung isip mo sa dami niyang iniisip. Next one, you have to listen deeply. You have to listen with attention. Let others fully express themselves and focus on understanding how they think and feel. So, it is really important to listen with understanding and to listen with feelings. Kasi others are only listening, but they do not understand what are they listening to. So, let others fully express themselves, and then later on, you will be able to understand why they are like that, how they feel, and how they think. So, on that way, if you are going to listen deeply, and if you are going to listen with attention, you can use it to internalize other feelings as well. Next is cultivate insight. See life as it is, allowing each experience to be an opportunity for learning. So, dito pumapasok yung sinasabi nilang charge it to experience. So, when you experience something and then that experience is good or bad one, you have to cultivate insight on it. You have to grow with it. And then you have to know how are you going to solve that specific problem. On that way, mas matututo ka pa sa everyday life mo and sa everyday experience mo and sa everyday na na-encounter mo na problem. Practice compassion. So, consider the thoughts and feelings of others and let tenderness, empathy, and kindness be your guide. So, dito pumapasok yung hindi sapat na mabait ka lang. You need to have the empathy, you need to have the tenderness, and you have to be considerate. So, on this way, you can live mindfully. After practicing compassion, you have to limit the reactivity. So when we say limit reactivity, observe rather than be controlled by your emotions. Pause, breathe, and choose a skillful response based on thoughtful speech and non-violence under every condition. So dito sa limit reactivity, you have to control yourself. So, wag agad magagalit. So, this is one tool para maging mindful tayo sa everyday life natin. You have to control ourselves. We have to control our emotions. Next is express gratitude. So by expressing gratitude daily, it will expand outwardly. So kapag everyday tayo nagpapa-thank you, so everyday tayong thankful sa mga graces natin, sa mga blessings natin, so it expands every now and then. So, and then you will see that everything around you, you appreciate it, and everyone around you will be grateful also. And nurture mutual respect. So when you say nurture mutual respect, appreciate our common humanity and value from different perspectives. So nurture mutual respect. So we all have a different culture. We all have a different perspective. So we have to respect each other's opinions. So we will gain respect if we are going to give respect. And build integrity. So how are you going to build integrity? So integrity is doing the right thing when no one is watching. So it also cultivate constructive values and consistently act from respect. So kapag sinabi natin integrity, kahit walang nakakakita, kahit walang may alam, you're still doing the good one, you're still doing the right one. You also need to foster leadership. So when we say foster leadership, you have to engage fully in life and community, share your unique talents and generosity so that others can also gain. Ito yung sinasabi nila na you have to set the standards, you have to join the community, you have to step outside. So when we say leadership, hindi lang naman yung mga politicians. So you can be a leader on your own. So leadership is not about titles. So ang sabi ko nga, it is not about the titles or positions. It is about one life influencing another. So how are you going to influence another people? And lastly, be peace. Cultivate your own inner peace, becoming an agent for compassion and becoming an agent for empathy. So the peace will start within you. So remember that you have to be mindful today and for always. So that's it for our lesson for today. That is for our lesson 3, the developmental stage, and how are you going to be mindful. If you have any questions, again, you can contact me or you can find me on Telegram and also on Gmail. I have put here my Gmail account and also my Telegram number. So I hope to see you again on our